right, boys and girls, the next chapter and getting really, really close to the end of the book is called Billings. It's a long chapter. I just want to let you know that. So I might break in the middle and then continue reading. Here we go. On a bright, clear day in January, Lewis and Serena came home to the Red Rock Lakes. From among the thousands of waterfowl, they quickly found the members of their own families, their fathers, mothers, sisters, and brothers. It was a noisy homecoming. Everybody wanted to say hello all at once. Lewis's father, the old cob, made a graceful speech. You remember he likes to talk. Rather long but sincere. Lewis raised his trumpet and played, "There's no place like home, 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 sweet home." There was a great deal of gossip among the waterfowl about Louis having persuaded Serena to be his wife. Everybody congratulated the happy couple, and all the brothers and sisters of Lewis and Serena gathered around and looked at Lewis's possessions. They were much impressed by his worldly goods. They liked the life-saving medal, they loved the sound of the trumpet, and they were eager to see the money in the money bag. But Lewis did not open the bag. Instead, he took his father and mother to one side. They all three stepped out on shore, where Lewis slipped the money bag off his neck and with a bow handed it to the old cob. $4,420.78. Then Lewis took his slate and wrote a note to the owner of the music store in Billings so his father would have something to show him when he got there, and the note said this: "To the storekeeper of Billings, enclosed, please find $4,420.78. It will pay you for the trumpet and the damage to the store. Sorry about the inconvenience this has caused you." The old cob was not able to count money and he was not able to read, but he took the money bag and the slate and hung them around his neck. He felt sure he could now pay his debt for the stolen trumpet. "I shall go," he said to his wife. "I shall redeem my honor. I shall return to Billings, the scene of my crime, a great city." "We've heard this before," remarked his wife. "Just take the money and the note and beat it for Billings so you can get back here. And when you get there, for heaven's sake, be careful. The owner of that music store has a gun. He will remember that the last time he saw you coming, he got robbed. So watch yourself. You're on a dangerous mission." "Danger," said the old cop. "Danger? I welcome danger and adventure. Danger is my middle name. I would risk my life to redeem my honor and recapture my sense of decency. I shall pay my debt and blot out the foul mark that sullies my good name. I shall rid myself forever of the shame that comes from thievery and wrongdoing. I shall." "If you don't stop talking," said the wife, "you won't even get to Billings before the store closes." "You are right as usual," replied the cob. He adjusted the money bag and the slate for flight. Then he took off into the air and headed toward the northeast, flying fast and high. His wife and son watched him until he faded from view. "What a swan," said his wife. "You have a good father, Lewis. I hope nothing happens to him. To tell you the truth, I am worried." The old cob flew fast and far, and when he spied the churches and factories and shops and homes of Billings, he circled once, then began his downward glide straight for the music store. "My hour has come," he said to himself. My moment of truth is at hand. I shall soon be out of debt, out from under the cloud of shame and dishonor that has cast a shadow over my life for the last several months." The cob had been seen already by people down below. One of the salesmen in the music store was standing by the front window looking out. When he saw the big white bird approaching, he yelled to the storekeeper, "Large bird approaching! Get your gun!" The storekeeper grabbed his shotgun and raced to the sidewalk. The cob was low in the sky, gliding straight for the store. The storekeeper raised his gun. He fired both barrels in quick succession. The old cob felt a twinge of pain in his left shoulder. Thoughts of death filled his mind. Looking back, he saw a bright red drop of blood straining and draining from him. But he kept going straight for the storekeeper. "The end is near," he said to himself. "I shall die in the performance of duty. I have only a few moments remaining to live." I just want to let you know he doesn't live, and it's only a little scratch. "Man in his folly has given me a mortal wound. The red blood flows in a steady trickle from my veins." It actually just drops. drip drop. My strength fails, but even in death's final hours I shall deliver the money for the trumpet. Goodbye, life. Goodbye, beautiful world. Goodbye, little lakes in the north. Farewell, springtime I have known, with their passion and ardor. Farewell, loyal wife and loving sons and daughters. I am about to die. I must die gracefully, as only a swan can do. With that, he sank to the sidewalk, held out the money bag and the slate to the astonished storekeeper, and fainted away at the sight of his own little drops of blood. He lay limp on the sidewalk, and to all appearances, a dead swan. A crowd quickly gathered. "What's this?" exclaimed the storekeeper, bending over the bird. "What's going on here?" He quickly read the note on the slate. Then he tore open the money bag and began pulling out hundreds of dollar bills. A policeman hurried to the scene and started to hold the crowd back. Stand back, he shouted. "The swan is wounded. Give him air." "He's dead," said a little boy. "That bird is dead." "He's not dead," said the salesman. "He's scared." "Call an ambulance," screamed a lady in the crowd. A small little droplet of blood formed under the neck of the old cob. He did seem lifeless. Just then, a game warden appeared. "Who shot this bird?" he demanded. "I did," said the storekeeper. "Then you're under arrest," said the warden. "What for?" asked the storekeeper. "For shooting a trumpet or swan. These birds are protected by law. You can't do what you just did." "Well," replied the storekeeper, "you can't arrest me either. I happen to know this bird. He's a thief. He's the only one you should be arresting. He's been here before, and he stole a trumpet from my store." "Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance!" cried the lady over the fighting. "What's that you've got in your hand?" asked the policeman. The storekeeper quickly stuffed the money back into the money bag and held the bag and the slate behind his back. Come on, show it to me," said the cop. "I want to see it too," said the warden. "We all want to see it," cried a fellow in the crowd. "What's in that bag?" The storekeeper sheepishly handed the money bag and the slate to the game warden. The warden stood straight, put on his glasses, and read the note in a loud voice. "To the storekeeper of Billings, enclosed please find $4,420.78. It will pay you for the trumpet and the damage to the store. Sorry about the inconvenience this has caused." At the mention of the sum of money, the crowd gasped. Everyone started talking at once. "Call an ambulance," screamed one lady. "I'll have to take the money to the station house," said the policeman. "This is a complicated case. Anything that involves money is complex. I'll take the money and keep it safe until the matter is decided." "Oh, no, you won't," said the game warden. "The money is mine." "Why?" asked the police. "Because," replied the warden. "Because what?" asked the police. "Because the law says that a bird in my custody, that I own everything that he comes with." "Oh, no, you don't," said the storekeeper angrily. "The money is mine. It says so right here on the slate. That money is mine, and nobody's going to take it away from me." "Oh, my goodness. Yes, they are," said the policeman. "I am." "No, I am," said the game warden. "Is there a lawyer in the crowd?" asked the storekeeper. "We'll settle this matter once and for all." A tall man stepped forward. "I'm Judge Ricketts," he said. "I'll decide this case right here and now." "Who saw the bird arrive?" "I did," said the salesman. "Call an ambulance," the lady still was screaming. "I saw the bird too," said a small boy named Alfred Gore. "Okay," said the judge. "Describe what happened exactly as you saw it." The salesman spoke first. "Well," he said, "I was looking out the window and saw a swan approaching, so I hollered. The boss got his gun and fired, and the bird fell to the sidewalk. There was a drop or two of blood." "Did you notice anything special about the bird?" asked Judge Ricketts. "He carried money," replied the salesman. You don't often see any money on a bird, so I noticed it." "All right," said the judge. "Now we'll let Alfred Gore tell it as he saw it. Describe what you saw, Alfred." "Well," said the little boy, "I was thirsty, and so I wanted to go to the candy store and get something to drink." "Just tell what you saw, please, Alfred," said the judge. "Never mind how thirsty you were." "I was coming along the street," continued Alfred, "because I was thirsty. So I was coming along the street on my way to the candy store to get something to drink, and there, up in the sky, all of a sudden, there was a big white bird right over me in the sky. And he was gliding down out of the sky like this," and Alfred held out his arms and imitated the bird. "And so when I saw the big bird, I stopped, thinking about how thirsty I was, and pretty soon this enormous bird," he was enormous, "was on the sidewalk, and he was dead, and there was blood all over everything, and that's what I saw." "Did you notice anything special about the bird?" asked Judge Ricketts. "Blood," said Alfred. "Anything else?" "No, just blood." "Did you hear a gun?" "No, just blood," said Alfred. "Thank you," said the judge. "That will be all." Just then a siren started wailing, "Woo, woo, Shoo! An ambulance came screaming down the street, and it stopped in front of the crowd. 2 men jumped out, and they carried a stretcher and laid the old cob on it. The old cob lifted his head, and he looked around. I think I've been at death's door, he thought, and now I think I'm returning to life. I am reviving. I'm still alive. I shall return on strong wings. Oh, to the great sky. I shall glide gracefully again on the ponds of the world and hear the frogs and the sounds of the night and the coming of the day. As he was thinking about pleasant thoughts, he felt himself being lifted, and the ambulance attendants put his slate around his neck, picked him up, laid him gently on the stretcher, and carried him into the ambulance. Oh my goodness, the doctor said the wound was superficial. The old cob didn't know what superficial meant, but it sounded serious. Nurses gathered around, and one of them took the Swan's blood pressure and wrote something on a chart. The old cob was beginning to feel very well again. It felt good to be in bed, being cared for by all these nurses, whom, by the way, were quite pretty. The doctor washed the wound, and he put a Band-Aid on it. Meanwhile, back at the sidewalk in front of the music store, the judge was announcing his decision. On the basis of the testimony, he said, I award the money to the storekeeper to make up for the loss of the trumpet and the damage to the store. I am placing the Swan in the custody of the game warden. Your Honor, said the warden, don't forget that the storekeepers are under arrest for shooting a wild swan. It was a case of false arrest, said the judge wisely. The storekeeper fired his gun at the bird because he was afraid his store would be robbed again. With all this, a cheer went up from the crowd. The warden looked sulky, the policeman looked glum, but the storekeeper was very, very happy. He was a happy man. He felt that justice had been done. I have an announcement, he said. I am only going to keep just enough of this money to pay for the stolen trumpet and the repair bills for my store. All the rest of the money will be given to a good cause, if I can think of one just right now. Can anyone think of a worthy cause that needs money? The Salvation Army, said one. Nah, said the storekeeper. The Boy Scouts, suggested another. Nah, said the storekeeper. The American Civil Liberties Union, suggested another one. Nah, said the storekeeper. Nobody has thought of just the right place for me to send this money. How about the Audubon Society, said a little fellow, whose nose looked like the beak of a bird. Great, you've got it, cried the storekeeper. A bird has been very good to me, and now I want to do something for birds. The Audubon Society is kind to birds. I want this money to be used to help birds. Some birds are in real trouble. They face extinction. What's extinction? Asked Alfred Gore. Does it mean they stink? Certainly not, said the storekeeper. Extinction is what happens when you're extinct, when you don't exist anymore because there are no others like you. Like the passenger pigeon and the eastern health hen and the dodo and the dinosaur? The trumpeter swan was almost extinct, said the game warden. People kept shooting them like these crazy storekeepers, but now they are making a comeback. The storekeeper glared at the warden. I'll say they're making a comeback, he said. The swan that was just here came back to Billings with $4,420.78 and gave it all to me. At the hospital, the old cob lay peacefully in bed thinking beautiful thoughts. He felt thankful to be alive and relieved to be out of debt. It was getting dark, and many of the patients in the hospital were already asleep. A nurse came into the cob's room to open the window. When she came back a few minutes later, she took the cob's temperature and gave him a back rub. The bed was empty, though. After a little while, after she left, the cob apparently had jumped out of the window, spread his broad wings, and headed for home through the cold night sky. He flew all night across the mountains to arrive home. How did it go? His wife asked. Very well, he said. An extraordinary adventure. I was shot out just as you predicted. The storekeeper pointed a gun at me and fired it. I felt an agonizing pain on my left shoulder. Blood gushed from everywhere, but I got the storekeeper the money. I was at death's door. They took me to the hospital. Oh, it was an amazing catastrophe. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. The pages are stuck together. Okay. Oh, my goodness. It did stick together. I am so sorry. I skipped to the greening of spring. Game wardens flocked to the scene in great numbers. There was tremendous arguments about the money. How did you know all this if you were unconscious? Said the wife. My dear, said the cob, I wish you wouldn't interrupt me when I'm telling the story of my trip. Seeing my grave condition, someone in the crowd summoned an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital, where I was put to bed. I looked very beautiful lying there, my black bill contrasting with the snowy white sheets. Doctors and nurses attended to me and were there hour by hour through my suffering pain. You can judge how serious my wound was when I tell you that one of the doctors examined it and said it was superficial, which means superficial means not very dangerous at all. It doesn't look like that to me, said the wife. I think you just got nicked. If it had been bad, you couldn't have flown back as soon as you did. Anyway, superficial or not, I'm glad to see you home safe. I always miss you when you're gone. I don't know why, but I do. And with that, she placed her head across his neck and gave him a slight nudge. Then they had breakfast and went for a swim in an open place in the frozen lake. The cob pulled his Band-Aid off and threw it away. And that was a long chapter. It was almost 16 minutes of reading, but I know that you're going to listen very carefully. The next chapter is called The Greening Spring. And I believe that this is, oops, my hands are clean, the last chapter in the book, and it is So the Greening Spring. So I will read that to you a little bit later. I hope you enjoy this chapter, boys and girls. Love you.